Okay, we are live from Gothenburg and Stockholm simultaneously. And I'm starting with the most important thing.
That makes me very happy to see. I think I am going to fetch my only Christmas beer for this after work. I'm actually only going to drink one because it is the one and only the most expensive one in Sweden, the Delirium Christmas.
I'm drinking the Barium down the chimney. Have you tested that one?
No. Barium, where's that from? Belgium?
It's Swedish, but I don't know exactly where. Some viewer may know.
This one is from Belgium, so it's a triple. It's a triple strong beer. I have to say that I, in general, like the Belgian triples.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited about this one, but I think it would have been better if it would have been in a smaller bottle, because it's quite strong. But hey, it is only Christmas once a year.
It's only Christmas once a year. It says that this one is very good with cinnamon bread.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is not the ad, but then I bought this one, Göteborgs Kex.
Nice.
Pepparkakskulor.
Nice.
They're actually really
they are
nice.
really good. I like them too.
I haven't bought them before this Christmas. I don't know if they're new or if I just missed them, but
I
they're
think
nice.
I have eaten them. They are dipped in chocolate, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm really excited about this one.
Is it 0.75 or how much is it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It is. So it's like a bottle of wine.
Yeah, you're having a bottle of wine, basically.
Mm. Cheers.
Cheers.
And should we say to our viewers that we can... I'm thinking that you should lead the show today, because I think that you have more stuff that you want to show than I have, to be honest. So I think that I'm gonna leave it a bit up to you. But what I wanted to say is that I think that you should reach out and come with comments. I think you can comment in the transmission in some way, right?
Yeah, you can do it.
Otherwise, you can just shout out on X, for instance. So I'm thinking that you could lead, and I can gather comments, and if we get any requests. So I think I already have one request for a spider, so I can stay a bit in the background and collect requests. And if we get any requests for spiders or specific players or so on, then I can prepare that.
Yeah, sounds really good. I will share my screen. I will add it to the show. And you should be able to see my browser and all my data sets.
Yes.
Yeah. So What I thought we would start to talk about is actually the newest release that we had, and it's a really it's a nice feature to have, and it's basically it's about making the platform easier to use if you're new to data analytics, but also very functional for an advanced user to just have the most important KPIs for your case, what you're going to analyze. And it's also a bit of a research project behind this that is just interesting in understanding positions and player roles when it comes to the data we collect. So what I did was that I did a correlation study for all positions and all player roles that we have, and just to see which KPIs that we have in the platform correlates positively and negatively to different KPIs. So in the article here, if you haven't seen it before, we have some examples, for example, for the position, where you have some KPIs that the red ones, which are positive correlation to the forward. So a forward generally has a higher expected threat received and a higher shot value and a higher expected goal than the other positions. And that's very natural. I think that's what you would suspect. But that, for example, expected threat received is the KPI with the highest value compared to all others. That's maybe new information, that just receiving ball in threatening areas, that's what's correlating the most to being a forward.
Yeah, that's really interesting, I think, because already there, I think we get an idea of how the rank works when we talk about the playmaker rank that we talked about last time we had an after work. That even though we don't know exactly, because it's a machine learning AI model, but you get an idea of how how our KPIs are weighted when you see this. So it's really not, for a forward, it's really not only about scoring goals.
No.
Receiving the ball in dangerous areas is also definitely. So yeah, I really like the idea of being able to present the most relevant KPIs in this way, because it really gives you a data backed story about why we select the KPIs that we have selected when we do our presets. So the idea here is, of course, to visualize what metrics are most relevant for that position and so on.
Exactly, and I think the same comes to good when you use these presets. It will give you a good understanding on what correlates best with the player roles as well. That could maybe be very easy for you to understand which kind of sort of player it is, and some may be more difficult. And then if we have the anchor, for example, that is a ball-winning number 6, really, you can see that, for example, area covered is a very correlated KPI for number 6. And I think that correlates well with N'Golo Kanté in Chelsea was a typical anchor. And what is he good at? Covering a lot of space, winning back the ball. It describes the role better. So what you can do in the platform then, which is really nice, is that if we create a new one, you can just choose a league, like the Danish top tier, and then you can name it to Anchors Denmark, and then you can select here on filter on avatars. You can filter on only the player role anchor. You can set the minimum number of games, as you could have before. But then the new feature is here with the preset, so that if you want to look at anchors, you can have the anchor preset for KPIs. So now it's selecting the KPIs for you that it thinks that correlates the best to the player role anchor. And if you would like to add a KPI or remove one, you can do that. Or you can do just like me, you can just save it. And decide to be happy with that. And I made a example of that already that we can go immediately and look at. It's we can create a new dashboard. We can call it Christmas after work. And then I'm gonna load a data set called Playmakers. And this Playmakers, I selected the preset Playmaker and the avatar filtering of Playmaker, and then I did it for all the top 5 leagues. So now I have the players that are Playmakers according to our model in the top 5, and that I've played at least 6 games or something. I did some limit on it. So that's pretty interesting. So if we, for example, then we can look at AC Milan's new recruit. And that was really good when I was in Milan watching AC Milan in this fall. Then I'm talking about... Oh, I chose the wrong data set, sorry.
Like I have a lot of data sets these days.
Yeah, yeah. And then I'm talking about Ruben Loftus-Cheek. So this is Spider. And what makes Ruben Loftus-Cheek a Spider in this model? Now he's only compared to Playmakers, which...
I know also, sorry to interrupt you, but I think that is also really interesting to look at the average here, because this also, when we talked about, I think it was in our first AV, we chose the KPIs that we had a gut feeling were the ones that were most relevant. And then I remember that I said, like, yeah, then we get an average spider that is quite circular.
Yeah.
But I mean, here we definitely see that when we do like a more scientific selection of the most relevant KPIs for a specific role, we can see that the average distribution is more or less like 50% all around.
Yeah, exactly. It's
so, and I mean, that makes perfect sense, right?
Yeah, that's how it should be if the KPIs are selected correctly.
Exactly.
And for Ruben Loftus-Cheek, now he's compared to Playmakers, but what makes him a playmaker is compared to other playmakers, or what makes him playmaker is his edge in 1-versus-1 dribbling and carrying the ball in the center of midfield. And it could be like, because playmakers, they are correlating very well with all these KPIs. That's the strongest KPIs they're correlating to. But there's also 4 nuances between playmakers, that like he's a ball carrying playmaker, but you could have a playmaker that is more doing having the high expected threat with passing actions.
Yeah.
Because that's something that all these KPIs, they have a high value compared to other play roles, as we showed you in the article before. And expected threat is a typical, and also expected threat assisted, that I think we might be the only platform to have. And that's the expected threat that you assist to. So if Ruben Loftus-Cheek does a pass to Pulisic, and then he does an action with an expected threat value, then you mirror it back to the player that enabled that action. So playmakers usually have a high expected threat and expected threat assisted. But if you look at anchors, for example, they have a low expected threat, but a high expected threat assisted. So that's very interesting. And then you have maybe players as that playing more close to the strikers, like wingers, for example, or artists. They don't have especially high expected threat because they usually pass to a shooter. It's
right.
It's so the anchor is the start of the chain. The playmaker is the magician that makes the good moves and can help others make the good moves. And then you have the players that are passing the end of the chain, and then you have the forwards that we looked at that usually ends the chains with a shot.
Yeah.
So, and I also think that when you have these, you also have better scatter plots. So like when we do a scatter plot here of all playmakers, then if we choose carry prog dist and dribbles, we see that Ruben Loftus-Cheek is having one of the best values in both for all playmakers. But now you also have a better base to compare with. Like you don't have other play roles, you don't have other positions that might have values that vary a lot. Like now we have players that are all good at this KPI, if you understand what I mean. So then we have like a better comparison. And also I think it's a very nice tool if you're looking for this player role, but you know that you could maybe recruit in these leagues. Then you can just filter on this immediately and just look at the players that could be an interest instead of all players.
I totally agree with that.
We have Bernardo Silva, another playmaker. Really nice.
Oh my God.
That's a pretty good spider. Pretty good. I didn't add the grade here, but we could have graded the players and looked at like which players are the best playmaker from the playmaker rank. That could be something that we could add. But it's very nice to it's very nice to just compare here and see how good some players are.
We have quite a few viewers right now, so if you have any questions, shoot.
Oh, we have. Nice.
Yeah.
If you want to maybe have a filter like this on your own, then you can pop in a suggestion. We can look at the anchors as well, because I made an anchor data set. It was the Danish Superliga though, so it was just one league. Now I chose the wrong data set again. I said Danish Superliga, so then I took the data set that was called that, but that was just all players. I don't know if do you have like a good system on how to to name your data sets? It feels like I sometimes have it, and then sometimes I do not.
I try to name them in a logical way, which basically means that I do what season it is, what year it is, and then something more. But I definitely think that we should enable some features here during the spring, as we probably won't be the only ones having lots of data sets anymore. I mean, I've seen that we have a lot of customers that have hundreds of data sets as well. So we'll probably start to try to make it possible to organize them in some way.
Yeah, some sort of cleaning maybe to like delete data sets that haven't been used for a long time.
That too, definitely.
But here you have the anchor spider. So you see that if we have the KPIs here for a playmaker, we can see that if we compare them, there will be some KPIs that have shifted. So here, for example, we have we still have expected threat assisted, but then we have the success rate for challenges. We also have foul percentage, and foul percentage is really how many of your challenges that you do makes the referee blow the whistle because you caused a foul. So if the percentage is high, it's in this sense means that you cause a lot of fouls.
Did you have the top list? Because I think that the like pure top list of what KPIs are used the most was quite interesting as well. When we talk about the percentage, did you show that? Because I think that's quite fun.
We can. Here we have
there it is
on our admin page. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. So this is like the count of the KPIs selected when making data sets, as you said. So a top list. So expected threat 90 is the most popular KPI, 489 times. And then passes per 90, expected goals, dribbles.
I mean, pass percentage is so high. It's the 6 most used KPI, and I'm not sure if I think that's so, because I mean that's not in any of our presets, right? Because I think that we have better KPIs when we talk about passing skill, or what we should call it. But I mean, just looking at pass success rate that we have, that's more like the how good you perform in relation to the expected pass is probably better.
I think there's a sense of people using pass percentage wrong. I don't say all users that use it do, but I can think it's nice when you look at center back. But then I more look at it as like, how big of a risk do they take? Because if they have like a lot of passes and very high pass percent, they don't take any risk. But I think sometimes people think it's some kind of that a high number is always good accuracy, and that's not really the case. So it's better to look at like pass efficiency that is comparing your pass percentage to your expected or expected threat received or
definitely. Or as we have in our data, like in the Division 2, for instance, or Swedish ettan, that where you can look at pass percentage under pressure. That's really interesting. So how good does a player perform under high pressure when it comes to passing percentage? Then I think it is interesting. And I think we have a metric for that as well, which is like pass percentage on offensive half under high pressure. I think we have that KPI or something like that, which makes sense, I think.
Yeah, it's definitely. I also think there was like, because since we created these KPIs, like some are more classic and some I created for myself because I had some kind of idea about it, but then I didn't expect it to be that popular. One example is the keep ball percentage. That is, it's like pass percentage, but instead of success rate for pass percentage, it says that it takes the number of actions that you have in possession, and then it compares it to the number of times that when you've had the ball, you haven't lost it to your opponent. Like, it's not a bad touch when you're receiving the ball. It's not a failed dribble when you're trying, or take on when you're trying to pass on opponent, and it's not a missed pass. So it's like a pass percentage for all actions in possession, and it's it's pretty popular. So I think that's kind of funny to see. And then, of course, expected threat. I don't know where expected threat received and assisted is in this list. Received is pretty high here. Assisted. Yeah, because that's really nice KPIs. Also, the area covered defensively and offensively to look at how the players move in possession. Expected threat assisted could have more selections. Maybe now when we have the presets, people will learn about that metric more. Yeah, and then we can see the more unpopular KPIs as well, which is kind of funny. The shots percentage, not that popular. The shots percentage is basically a success rate for your shots, so it's not as good. It's not really. It's better to use shot value or expected goals and so on. I will also do it, but shot percentage is basically like how many percent of your shots has been a goal. That's what it is.
Yeah. And I think that this is a bit of an input as well as into into like how we should communicate and what KPIs I think we should work with promoting, because I think we have KPIs that is that makes more sense to use than pass percentage when it comes to passing skill, and the same when it comes to shots percentage, even if that's not used that much. But I mean, shots percentage, we talk about expected goals or expected goals too, and so on. It makes much more sense to use. But I think that's one of the good things with having the presets now. You don't have to think. You don't have to know what every KPI is, but you just select a preset and we can make the thinking for you in a scientific way, more or less.
Yeah, exactly. We also have the basic spider, and that's like the most popular or the most common KPIs in all of the presets. And then I've also added it to the most popular. So here you have a lot of the like top 10 KPIs of most popular, really, or not exactly the top 10, but since it's matched to the common use. But then you have pass percentage, for example, that we may or may not have in this data set. But since it's so popular,
okay. I didn't know that. I'm sorry. It's the best KPI out there.
It's in this list because it's popular, not because it's the best. But maybe it should be a correlation to what's the best. But then remember that this is more of what risk the player takes with the passes.
That's one of the things that I have the hardest with in general in the world. That's why. Just because something is big doesn't have to be good.
No.
And just because you're the best or like the largest company in the world, you don't have to be the best.
A bit like Taylor Swift.
Yeah, definitely. Exactly.
Now I made a lot of people mean, but that's the truth, everybody.
Yes.
So yeah, we can look at Hugo.
So true.
We can look at Hugo Larsson. I just took him in the basic here for my Bundesliga.
Very interesting, because I've been given that question more than one time when I work with TV. Want to look at a Swede who actually obviously gets to play every game and does it good, but I think it's a bit hard to find like data where he is like supports the idea that he's like the best player in Bundesliga. But I guess that's not the narrative. The narrative is that he's very young and does a very okay job, so to speak, in one of the best leagues in the world, and not so many, given how young he is, does that.
Exactly. I think it's the correlation exactly between that, the performance and his age, or like, because when in Allsvenskan, when we did the awards for the best players, I know that Hugo Larsson hadn't played enough to be awarded, and he wouldn't have get an award if he had. But he was one of the top 5 central midfielders. Like you have Nanasi, Gustafsson, Rygaard, Peña, and then you have Hugo Larsson. So in Allsvenskan, he was a top player. He was not only young. But what you can see here in Bundesliga, what I guess he does well is that, like, when they have him in the team, he doesn't lose the ball. He has a high pass percentage. He makes good decisions. Maybe doesn't have the highest risk, which you can see with the expected threat value, but it's also maybe more in an anchor role. So they usually have less risk. And then he's good in winning back the ball with breaking passes, like the interceptions here. He steals a lot of passes. Successfully and keeps in possession. So like he's doing the anchor role well, but he doesn't have a rating to be like as you said, a top level Bundesliga midfielder. But if you compare to his age, he's one of the best teenagers in the world performing at such a high level. So like
definitely.
So, and now I'm just saying that out of top of mind, but like he really is. So I think I think he. Like when we have a new head coach for the national team, I wouldn't be surprised if they try to start him from the start, because we don't really have this like anchor quality players. We had Albin Ekdal, who like retired from the national team, and we have Kajust in some sense, but they're a little bit different from each other. I wouldn't compare them to being like a similar style anchor, but so if I would be the national team, and you know that you don't have any important national team games until late 2024, I would just try to get Hugo Larsson to work in the national team starting 11. Okay, that was my rant about Hugo Larsson.
No, but I just think it is interesting when we talk about data and Hugo Larsson. It's like need to just like embrace the fact that a guy like Florian Wirtz, or I mean, we have a lot of players in like Bayern Munich as well, of course, who are ahead, which makes it very, very hard to stand out, because you're compared with some of the best players in the world. I think an idea here, of course, could be to do the classic change the percentile. Florian Wirtz is a very interesting example, of course. Yeah,
he's another role. He's playing like a winger number 10, but he's young and one of the best players in the league.
Exactly.
And he's
no, but when we talk about Hugo Larsson, we should also say that we do the 5% cutoff here. So he's here you also need to be among the top 5% to be in the top of the league, but you could change the percentile, for instance, to, I don't know, to 90 instead, just to see what it looks like then, because then you just need to be in the top 10%, for instance. And yeah, then it looks a bit better and so on, but this is really a matter of how you want to present the data. So you can always manipulate the data in certain ways so that it looks better as well. But then if what this says, that then we do the like 90th percentile instead of the 95th.
Exactly. No, Bundesliga players. We have Hugo Larsson. I'm just gonna. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. I said he was an anchor, but he's a box to box, and that he was that in Allsvenskan as well. So it kind of makes sense. Okay. What should we look at now? Should we make some other kind of nice data set here?
Yeah.
So another nice feature is that you can copy a data set if you want to make a copy. So a typical example here is that if we want to look at other player roles than the playmaker, let's say that we want to look at CDM, CM, and then we want to look at anchors and box to box, and then we can have the CDM data set, CDM preset, and then we can have these leaks and we can call it top 5 CM anchor BB. Okay. And then we start the process. So if you haven't seen a lot from inside the platform, this is really how it works. You generate it, it will start a process. You have a list of your done data sets. And if you're using the platform a lot like me, then you have a lot of data sets. I really try to delete them as well. I try to go back and delete the data sets, but I still have 84 data sets. So I should do it more. Then you can also, you can also change the theme. So I have the Häcken theme since I'm working with Häcken as well. I like to use it, but you can also have the Calgary Flames, for example.
Oh, that is the very, very nice team. I have to say that I created it because I'm a Calgary Flames fan.
Yeah.
And they have I don't think they will make the playoffs. They are not that good this season. I think I can we stop and talk about this for a while? Because I think it's a bit...
Yeah, we can talk about this.
Because, I mean, the idea of the...
You can start talking about it because I'm going to go and get a new beer. So start talking about it.
That's very good. No, but I think that it's... I mean, we have the NHL system where you have the draft system, and the lower placed you are the season before, the higher draft pick you'll get, which basically means that if you are not a top team, it could be interesting to actually be one of the worst teams. I know the fans won't like it, but then you get the first draft pick. And if you do that for a few seasons, I think Ottawa did it back in the 90s. They were last for a few seasons in a row, and then they got all these super good players like Daniel Alfredsson and Marian Hosse and Zdeno Chara and so on. And all of a sudden they had like a real powerhouse for a few years. I think a problem with Calgary is that they always end up like fighting for the last playoff place, which makes them always never being like the worst team and never be the best team. So I think sometimes maybe in the NHL you just drop the salary cap and go way below that just to save some money and just accept that you will have 1 or 2 or maybe even 3 bad seasons in a row where you just build, like more or less like save money in the bank, gather some interest, and then you try to build something. I think the problem is, or one of the things, maybe Calgary actually are doing that, because I really don't think that they have enough, a team that is strong enough this year to reach the playoffs. And they have also, of course, lost some of their absolute best players over the last seasons, like Tkachuk and Johnny Hockey. So they probably just couldn't afford keeping both those players. And so I think they had a shot at winning the Stanley Cup when they actually had those players in the team. They didn't win. They actually lost against Edmonton, I think. And that's it. Then you probably have to wait 10 years for the next plausible shot of winning the Stanley Cup.
Yeah. And I mean, it's in NHL they still have the draft. Like they didn't have it when Ottawa did it, I think, but now they have the draft lottery, right? So like if you come last, you have like a 25% chance of getting the first pick or something like that.
Exactly.
I was so curious about the lottery, so I kind of tried to read into the formula. And Wikipedia was quite nice, and then I got into some blog, and it was interesting. But
that's really interesting because that's also like, I think that's really a bit of a solution as well to the idea that I talked about. And you're completely right. I forgot about. We have talked about this before, you and me, because I really think it makes sense to have a lottery, because then you don't get like 2 or 3 teams who basically are just battling about coming last, which also is a bit weird.
Because in NHL, I wouldn't say that you win as much on like doing it, but in the NFL that I follow, then they don't have any lottery, so they still have only 16 games and not 88. So like the season is not ending because in NHL you can drop so far behind, and then like we need to win. We're like 5 or 8 or 10 wins behind the next team. Like we're pretty safe here. We can start losing. In NFL, you don't get that difference since you don't have that many games. But still, it's always like. On Twitter, especially, I don't think the players, they don't want to lose. They don't want to perform good. But on Twitter, when a team is starting to play bad, it could be like 5 games in. Like I'm a Giants fan, for example, and they are really shit. And then like Giants Twitter is about, now you start tanking, taking the best QB. And Daniel Jones is out. And then the fans, I don't know, you don't want the team to be shit, but you kind of want the team to get a good draft pick. And you know that you can like you can just reverse the table and like look at it. Where will we where will we end? And I think that's kind of funny. Now it shows a central midfield filter instead. So now it's the or central defensive midfielder preset instead. And I selected players that are either anchor or box to box. And the reason for that was that I wanted to, for example, to look at Hugo Larsson in this data set and compare him to, I think that we could have, no, he hasn't played enough, I think. If we look at, for example, Leon Goretzka.
Oh my God! Yeah, but I mean, but now I think we have now the percentile is 95 again, like 0.95. Yeah, exactly.
We can change it, but like
no, but this is what I mean, and I think this is a bit of. I think this has to be a part of the story. When you come to Bundesliga, you will play against some of the best players in the world, which is really good, because today when he actually is as good as Goretzka, you know that he's one of the best players in the world, right?
Yeah. And I mean that is usually like something that I think also you can happen, that like when you have young players playing for a really good team. I'm not saying this is the case for Hugo Larsson now, but then when you have a very good team with top class players, you try to like get 1 or 2 youngsters to be in the 11 or like to be subbed in, because it's good for the transfer market, and like it's good to like if we want to get money from selling players. And then if you play like 1 or 2 young players that are not at the level but they have the potential, you can still be pretty good, especially like later in the season when you're not maybe in the top needing to win, and they're very like sheltered, or like they're in a very good system, so they can they can perform maybe better than they would if they would have to be like a player that you would rely on in worse of a team. And then they can look good, and then people get surprised when they're not maybe delivering in the same way when they change team. But then maybe that's one of the facts, that like they haven't become worse of a player, but they have a much bigger role or responsibility than they had in a more protected system before.
Yeah.
We also got a really good question, I think, from John. I don't know if you've seen it.
I haven't seen that one. I have 2 others, so maybe you can do that one, and then I can share my screen and do the other ones.
Yeah, sounds good.
What did you get?
I got a question about how to scout good goalkeepers by using data, and I should be honest about. Or wait, we'll copy this one as well. I should be honest about that I'm not an expert in like experience of scouting goalkeepers, but I've done it since I'm familiar with our goalkeeper KPIs. I'm still familiar to do it in some sense. But one thing is that he mentioned that is definitely the case, is that like, for example, saves per 90, that he's saying that saves per 90, for example, usually shows keepers on the lower half of the table. Curious to know your thoughts. And that can definitely be the case. Or like saves per 90 shows a goalkeeper that is very busy. Like it could be a very good team that just creates a lot of chances as well, but they also like they win games with 4-2 instead of 2-0. So like for sometimes it could be teams on the lower half that they don't really get so many shots against them. For example, Halmstad and Allsvenskan for some years, but they don't create any chances either. So it could be both ways, but definitely the saves per 90 can say something about how busy a goalkeeper is. And then we have some other goalkeepers. You can actually filter this 2 ways, since we will have hopefully more avatars on goalkeepers soon. But for now, we only have an avatar on goalkeepers. So you can actually filter in 2 ways. You could either filter on position, or if for some reason you would like to filter here, you can do goalkeeper here. It will do exactly the same thing. But then we have a goalkeeper.
So I think that is really an interesting question, because I think that one of the first things that I really think that we should do, or should mention when it comes to scouting goalkeepers, is that we have gotten quite far now with the avatars on the outfield players, where I think that you just by seeing what avatar a player is classified as, you get directly an idea of, okay, what type of player is this? But we really don't have that on goalkeepers yet. But I definitely think that we will do that next year, right? And I don't think that you will get like 5 or 10 different types of goalkeepers, but you will probably end up with 1, 2, or not 1, but 2 or 3 different types of goalkeepers.
Exactly.
Where we have like Ricardo Friedrich in Allsvenskan, who's definitely more of a playing goalkeeper, or like a keeper sweeper type of goalkeeper. And I think that the challenge for us there will be to identify if they are skills or if they only are a means of how the team play. Yeah. So I think that's like the big challenge when it comes to classifying what type of goalkeeper it is. How do you know if a keeper is good or bad with the feet if they never get to do it?
Yeah,
I definitely think that we will be able to do it, but I'm just saying that that's the challenge.
yeah, and that's definitely a big challenge to all data analytics, like watching spiders or just when you're generating the play roles, it's all about looking at shares of KPIs instead of like looking at the magnitude, just to like reduce the factor of which team they play in. And that will be
I think
that's
really worth. No, but exactly, that's really worth to mention that even though you play in the worst team of the league, you can still have like a player who is classified as the star, or who is classified like the artist. So it's really not about a matter of how often you do a thing. It's more about how often you do it in relation to the team that you play in, and in relation what role do you have in relation to what your team try to do. So I think that we've gotten really far in that. So with that, we'll definitely be able to do it with goalkeepers as well.
Yeah, I agree. And I did the goalkeeper preset here. So this is the KPIs that we have that correlate the most to the goalkeeper. So I think we could go through them. Like, is goal kicks is just the number of successful goal kicks per game. It really tells you if it could tell you like if the player is doing short or long goal kicks as well. But it's like how many successful and the percentage of those goal kicks. Then we have mean expected goals against, which I think is very interesting to look in relations to saves per 90, save percentage, and so on. And that's like what's the mean expected goals of the shooters that you've faced. And it really tells you like if you're a goalkeeper in more of a worse defense, usually mean expected goals against is high because the opponents are allowed to do shots in the box in the golden zone. And then if you would look at Valdemarsson for Elfsborg, for example, he had a very low mean expected goals against because the opponents usually have to do long shots because the defense is blocking the goal zone. And then it doesn't say anything about where the shot ended up, but it says something about where the shooters are on average. Then you have the pass percentage, the risk he's taking. You have the pass prog dist, and these two are usually correlating to if the player is doing long passes or the goalkeeper is doing longer passes or shorter. So if you have a high shot percentage, the pass prog dist is usually lower. And then you have a goalkeeper that is involved in possession and you're doing the short pass in the back. If the pass percentage is lower and the pass prog dist is high, it's usually a goalkeeper that knocks it long, the classic goalkeeper, if I can say so. Then you have the saved expected goals percentage, that is the saved expected goal ratio. So it says a little bit on like how good of a chance you've saved and not only how many you've saved and how many you conceded. So it's more on like if you're saving good open opportunities, you're more highly rewarded than saving long shots and headers in a box and so on. And then switches, that's more about like how good you are switching ball half. Like, so if you're receiving the ball from the left and then involved in playing it over to the right, for example. And expected threat prevented, that comes a lot from intercepting the ball, doing a goalkeeper exit and intercepting the ball, a deep ball or through ball before an attacker is able to receive it. So a little bit on how offensive you are in collecting crosses and through balls and so on. And then I don't know, like we can look at Oblak. I don't know how good of a season he's had now. The Spider says not that good. I took Serie A and La Liga, I think I did. I kind of forgot now. We can look at Mainon in Milan. That could be quite interesting.
That's good.
So he has a very high playmaker rank, which I'm not surprised about. And that comes a lot from him being very involved in possession. That's something that is new to how we work with goalkeepers. That like if you're a goalkeeper that just knocks it long and you lose the ball, then usually your team lose possession, and then your actions often could lead to the opponent being able to attack. But if you remain in possession and being a good builder, which Mainon is one of the best in the world in building attacks as a goalkeeper, then you're more highly rewarded. That's not all of the grade, but that's very involved, and that's why Friedrich has the best award in Allsvenskan, for example, and that possession goalkeepers
I must say that I think that makes totally sense, because grading a goalkeeper solely based on shot stopping quality, I think in one sense reduces the value you can have by like involving a goalkeeper more, because it's a very underused player if they only like intercept crosses and save shots. Like I think that you need to have an idea of involving a goalkeeper more, and so also in introducing the idea of with maintaining the possession, you increase your own team's possibility to score, and you do that by also involving the goalkeeper in build-ups, in playing the ball short, building from the behind, keeping possession for as long as possible, because that will increase your team's possibility to score. And I mean, that's basically what this says.
Yeah.
And also only evaluating a goalkeeper based on save will be very random, because you can have, it's enough to do one or two mistakes. Say if you're a good goalkeeper, you play in one of the best teams in the league, you will actually face perhaps 50 shots, 50 high quality shots for an entire season. Not even that. It could even be 30 high value or really like qualified shots that you saved during an entire season. And then basically one or two mistakes will have a huge impact on your rating if you would only rate goalkeepers based on shot stopping quality. And then a good goalkeeper would perhaps have bad numbers some years, because it's just too little data to actually have like a statistical what do you say in English, to have enough data to even like say that it's good or bad.
Yeah.
So by introducing the idea that you rank a player based on all the actions the player actually does on the pitch, it makes much more sense, and it's much more fair, because then you're not dependent on one single action.
Exactly. And like, I don't like, now we have the Playmaker rank, our AI model, to value the goalkeeper based on all you said. And I just made a list here in Serie A and La Liga of like the highest ranked goalkeepers according to our grade. I haven't looked at this before. I watch Serie A, especially La Liga, very seldom, like entire games. So I don't know, like, but it's interesting here. You have mine on like very high up. His saving percentage is not that super high, but it's only saving like 2 per game. Then we have Gregorio in Monza, that I think is like a good, but he's a more busy goalkeeper. You also have like Andre ter Stegen, that is also very high up. He's not that busy as well, but we know that he's good with his feet.
Exactly.
And if you would do this, and we have Chesney here in the back, which maybe is not as good with the ball, but it's a very good shot stopper. And we see he has a very high save percentage. And I think that this tool is like, if you would scout goalkeepers, I would use this rank as a start, and then I would use the characteristics of the goalkeeper I'm looking for. If I'm looking for an involved player in possession, if I'm looking for a shot stopper, whatever the team needs. But then like I would get a very good list from this rank, and then you could like start digging deeper into it and connecting it with other things. But,
if you were to criticize the idea of data scouting goalkeepers, I'd say that isn't that what we just talked about? Like if you're looking for a goalkeeper who's involved in build-up, and if you're looking for a goalkeeper who's like a keeper sweeper that actually is involved in build-up, in passing and so on, then you can definitely use this platform to find keepers who under or overperforms in terms of expected pass and expected threat prevented, if you're talking about reading play and so on. But if we're talking shot stopping only, then I actually think that, and this is not just for us, or that's just for everyone that works with any kind of analytics, that's actually a video as well, because I would just say that the amount of data you get is just it's just not enough. I mean, you can have like a young goalkeeper who's actually you will only have 100 saves recorded on him overall. So then you need to do something more. And I have not got the trained eye to like determine if a goalkeeper is like correctly positioned and so on, and how good he is at reflexing and so on. So
no, I agree, and I think that's like one. I would also say that this is the position that is the most dependent on. Like you could get a list from here, but then you would take the next step to video to like compare them, and which is like the most dependent on it. And I think that also comes from how you collect football data. That is like goalkeepers has always been undervalued on the sense like, or I don't know if they're necessarily been undervalued, but they're just like one of 11 players playing, and classic goalkeeper hasn't been involved in the play. So like how you collect the data and how you collect the events, goalkeeper events haven't been prioritized. So there are like some samples that we're working on. We have a job, me and my colleague, where we're analyzing how we could improve how we gather data on goalkeepers from computer vision and event collecting, like just on things that goalkeeper has done but hasn't really been valued. And that's all about like how you exit, how the decision is made when you're deciding to claim the ball or punch it, and stuff that hasn't really been valued, but it's really important in the game. Because
how do you do when you work with Häcken? How do you work there? How much data do you do on goalkeepers now when you work with Häcken?
No, I use we definitely use data, but I think when it comes to goalkeepers guide, we need to involve our goalkeeper coach, because he's the expert in when it comes to then valuing them in on video and like evaluating how they position themselves, how they work, but we definitely take in we use data together with that for example. There could be rumors, so we could think he's the best passer in possession, but then we can compare like, no, that's not true, except from this season. It's a lot of video. I would say that's the position that is most important with video, and then compared with data than the other. But in the future, I don't think so. But for now, yes.
Yeah. I do have a few questions lined up. Should I take over?
Yeah, you can take over, and I can focus on drinking beer.
That's good. I've been doing that, and I have to say that I'm really not that impressed by the Delirium Christmas.
Not that impressed?
No, I'm not. I have tasted another Belgian triple that's much better, actually.
I'm drinking this one now. Vettle julöl. Have you tried it?
Oh, no. Never
This
seen.
one is actually pretty good. I think this one was okay, but this one is actually pretty good.
What style is it? Is it an ale or is it a lager?
Yeah, it's more to the ale. It's an ale. It's from Aggetorp, Sweden. I don't know where Aggetorp is. Some of the viewers
Me neither.
But I don't know.
Let me Google it. Aggetorp. It sounds like it should be in Skåne somewhere. Lerum.
Yeah.
No, that's Göteborg, right? That's Gothenburg.
Yeah, I've seen some. Is it Gothenburg, Aggetorp?
Isn't Lerum?
Yeah, Lerum is outside Gothenburg. Yeah. No. If we have another subject just shortly, I saw some interesting data on like how you name the villages, and like in different regions of Sweden, it's like more common to use. So like you have Torp in some regions. In like Uppland, where I come from, you have like STA, so like Hagsta, and it's like you have this different kind of endings to villages, and they're like more common in different regions, and it's like from very old history, like medieval or even Viking age.
That's really interesting. I think there's a course at Uppsala University that's called Ortsnamn, which basically I think just goes through just that. And you also have all these different names that are also related to lakes or rivers that go through, and you have all these different labeling of different variations of the river. So you can have Fors, of course, is where you have like more streaming water and so on, but then you can have like
I don't know if you remember it, but now I forgot because I'm watching Historien om Sverige on SVT Play, which I like. And then it was some ending that was meaning that it had been a sacrification place during the Viking Age to the gods. So it would be like a religious place where you would sacrifice animals or even humans.
Humans, no, I don't remember, right? But
I don't
do
remember either,
that.
but it was interesting. It was interesting.
No,
okay.
So we have 2 requests right now. We have Sophie Bredgård. Let's start there. Sophie Bredgård. I think she played in Damallsvenskan, right? Rosengård.
Yeah, Rosengård. Yeah.
Yeah. You should know this because you have much more better knowledge of the women's leagues than I have. But let's look in Damallsvenskan then. I think, and this is how I name my data sets. 2023. You could.
And when you name it like that, does it need to be like all positions and the basic preset when you do it like that, or like if you would do?
I think that I will add that because I think that she's been like an offensive winger in position group, so I would add that to my name as well. And let's do a 5-game filter, or maybe even more, but I'll do 5. So I'm not sure. I have no idea how much she played, so I'll do 5.
5 is good. I think she played much more. She could be an attacking midfielder as well, but we'll see.
This one as well. Yeah. I can do
yeah.
That also. What preset? Basic offense.
Or we could do offensive winger preset, maybe the position.
Yeah. Let's do that. And that's basically it. Then I don't need to do anything more, right?
No.
Save. And
the other question was, do you know where she plays?
Sandal. Yeah, I can you Google that for me?
No, I think she plays in Rosenborg. I actually think I know that one.
Okay.
But I will Google it as well. But we'll see if my Voso knowledge is correct.
What's that then? Is that top serien then, right?
Yeah, she plays for Rosenborg.
What position? Do you know that?
I think she's a winger. Winger or forward. Yeah. I think she's a winger. Wikipedia says forward, but yeah.
Okay. Let's try wingers. I could add forwards as well, just like.
I think basically you could do the same data set almost. Do that.
Why
and
not?
Then maybe attack, or what should we do? An avatar, or should we do? We could do like, I don't know, attacking star maybe, or
okay.
That's quite funny. That's the Mbappé player role.
Okay.
I'm not saying she's an Mbappé, but I think it's kind of nice.
Damallsvenskan 2023. That should be up and running now. So let's do the spider as requested. Sophie Bredgård. Damallsvenskan 2023. Offensive winger. And we'll get. We see that the XT assisted is a bit higher than the other, and makes sense to me as well.
Yeah.
This is a role where you will probably have a lot of XT assistant, and you would probably see a lot XT overall for this role if you compare with other roles.
Yeah.
Sophie Bredgård, here she is. And very high expected threat assisted. XT carry is a bit above average. I would say that I'm not sure how old she is. We could check that out, but I mean...
Not too old, like 20.
This is not that bad, I would say.
I said 23, she's 21. So, yeah.
21, then I would say that this is really interesting.
Yeah.
So the next question was, what's her contract situation at Rosengård? And I can understand the question. We've been working for free here, Jesper. Someone is someone's using us.
Yeah, scouting
Rashik
work
Rai,
live.
Yeah, Rashik Rai, you need to buy us some beers after this.
I hope he's like the head scout in Arsenal or something.
Yeah, exactly. Then we want some kind of commission. But I mean, if she's 21 and she's probably one of the best players at least when it comes to offensive wing, when it comes to expected threat assisted, and I mean, we could look at using. Let's look what avatar she actually is, and then let's use the avatar instead. She is
creator, maybe.
Sophie. She's the deep threat.
Okay.
Deep threat. Let's use the deep threat. Deep threat preset instead. See if that gives us anything else. Let's look at the tops. No, let's wait. I think that's better to do one thing at a time if we want to label this later on in some way.
I think it would be easy to mix up the players otherwise, actually, if we would switch. Because since they had a very the same position, then maybe Arsenal signs Jesper and Ola instead. I don't know. That's maybe good too, but
could be. Yeah. Let's see what that gives us instead. I didn't save that. I never save dashboards in that sense.
It's easy to.
Sophie. No, but I mean, this is really. I get why she's considered to be the deep threat when I see this. She's quite good at keeping the ball, keep ball percentage, and a lot of reception in offensive half as well. So.
Yeah.
One sense, this gives me an idea that she could work as a target as well.
Yeah.
Probably. Carries into the box. I mean, this is really. I think this is really good, actually.
Yeah, because I think usually the deep threat is it's kind of related to the attacking star. The only difference is that the attacking star, to be the attacking star, you need to have a very high output on scoring goals as well, for example, and having a high expected goals. And I think that because she produces a lot of shot assists, she has a very high expected threat assisted and received and carry prog dist. Now we don't have goals. Goals is not the characterization of the deep threat, so I think that's why it's not in the preset. But
one of the things that I think also is interesting here, of course, that we could talk about that I'm a bit amazed by is that the fact that she's low on XG receive but high on receptions. So she receives a lot of passes in the offensive halves, but probably not that high up in the pitch if you compare with other players that are offensive wingers. So this is also deep threat. She's playing a bit more at the back.
Yeah, she's playing in the pocket in between the defenders and the midfield a bit. She's receiving a lot of ball in between there, but she's not the end pro. Then I think she still has now she's only compared with the players that have pretty high.
Exactly. So if you would compare with everyone, then she'd probably would stand out still being a bit higher on this, but
a bit lower.
If we look at this, so she's still an outlier when it comes to having really one of the highest receptions, but one of the lowest XT received. So
yeah,
that is a bit interesting. You could do a heat map, of course, but I think that we were asked to do the spider, and if Rashik Rai wants anything more scouted on Sophie Bredlund, we want money, or at least beer.
Yeah, at least beer.
At least beer.
So, if we get money, then we will own. I was gonna say, if we get money, we will spend it on beers. So yeah,
that's true. One of my favorite, of course, one of the best players we know is Olivia Skogli. I just wanted to look at her spider as well in this, and yeah.
She's usually the attacking star. Olivia Skog.
Yeah, she could be that now as well, but I mean.
But her spiders.
Another favorite. Oh, Lisa Björk. Why is Lisa Björk still playing? Why is Lisa Björk still playing in Damallsvenskan?
I don't actually understand why she's not in the under 23 national team. Like, okay, she's not in the why? Okay, she's not in the top team. They have a lot of good players, but why is she not in the under 23? I can't understand that. She's
that me neither. It's not at all actually. I mean, we could look at just. She's obviously one of the best when it comes to expected threat. So let's do the swarm on the expected threat just to see.
I think she could have the highest value actually.
I will not.
Oh no, that's my fault. I know why.
Yeah, it's a national. Yeah, me too. we'll solve that. Maybe I can do the bar instead.
We'll see. I pushed some new code just before this, and this one thing I didn't shift. But the bar works. The bar works.
Yeah, that's good. Let's do the expected threat, and let's do the top 10.
Top 10. A number 2.
She is number 2.
Actually, Alva Cederud, I think she's also playing in Linköping, or she played in Linköping, was really good in expected threat. She went to Roma, and then she didn't succeed in Roma, and then she went back on loan, and I think Lisa Björk had an injury. So they're like actually playing also. I don't know if I think they've played also on the same wing, or they also played together, but they are like same team, similar playing style, but they're really good both.
And Bredgard is just outside top 10, I think. If now we're just talking. Still, we're only talking. She's actually number 11 when it comes to expected threat 90.
Yeah. And I think you had you had Anvegård in Häcken.
Yeah, exactly.
This
was fun.
Yeah, this is very fun. We have Jösendal.
Yes. Let's do. No, I was already prepared that one. Right. So
yeah, you did the data set. We haven't looked at it though.
Her name was Anna Jösendal. Jösendal. Sorry, I tried not to sound Norwegian. Har docker sett Jösendal spelet?
Yeah, the new feature I added that just before we went live is the nationality that you see there, and that's why it's a coding thing. We will fix it very quickly, but that's a nice feature.
Yeah, that's why it doesn't work with the scatter, right?
No, because it thinks that nationality is a float value that you could choose, but it doesn't work, so it fails it. Yeah.
No, exactly.
But a nice, easy extra feature to have that you have the nationality, and you can also add the age if you would like. Now we don't have it, but
classic winger, we like that. That's like the right and left midfielder in a 4-4-2, right?
Yeah. Like I think the ideal playing style, that's playing 4-4-2, and then you have an anchor, and then you have a playmaker in front, and then you have 2 classic wingers, and then British style.
I'm done here. I'm done.
That's a crazy spider. I think Rashik Rai will sign both for Arsenal.
This is another guy. Shika Rai could be the same, if of course, because they're both called Rai. It's a bit, but could you provide Anna Jösendal stats? Oh my God! I think we need to add playmaker rank here because I'm really interested to see how she is ranked in top serien.
Oh, add it to the data.
Let me do the classic winger preset, and then I'll also add Playmaker rank.
What data set did you, or what preset did you have on the spider that we showed? Did you have just offensive winger on that one, or?
Yeah, no, I'm narrowing it down to the classic winger.
Yeah.
What do you think about that? And I will do
Playmaker rank. You have it there in the middle of the screen almost.
Yeah. And maybe we should.
You could increase or what did you think of?
Yeah, we can. No, I can do 10 games instead.
I don't remember.
Right.
Yeah.
No, she had played like 20 games or so.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, you work with Häcken, the women's team as well, right?
Yeah.
I think you have you played the Champions League, right?
Yeah, we're playing the Champions League tomorrow at Stamford Bridge.
So I think that you need to take the money we will get from Rashik Rai and use that to buy Anna Jösendal right away.
Yeah, I'm thinking of the Futura meme when you have to take my money, this one, and then you have a lot of dollar bills in the hand. That's what I thought when I saw the Jösendal spider.
So here she. Oh my, this is insane. And is there something? I mean, is it something wrong? How old is she? This is.
No, I don't think it's something wrong. She's just very good. I've heard of her. That's why I knew where she came from. But she's 22.
Oh my god! This is like
nine caps for Norway.
Okay, so she's already. I'm a bit shamed there. I need to be honest.
No, you shouldn't be ashamed.
Just say that I didn't know who she was. I guess I should have known, but
no, I don't. She's
I mean, you don't see this kind of talent that often, right? Because I know that we have a few players in Elite Ettan in AIK who has been really good, but not this good.
Yeah. Now this is not the normal spider.
No,
I mean, among classic wingers that have played more than 10 games, she's still like the best in almost all metrics. That's like pretty insane. And she has
so the highest playmaker. She's the highest ranked player of all players as well.
Yeah.
Very impressive. But I guess Rosenborg is a very good team, right? So always.
Yeah, they are a very good team.
Yeah. You have a Swede who's ranked 3rd here. Lillestrøm. But this is, of course, shared 3rd place. This is not ordered individually.
No, exactly. That's very good to mention that we round off the stars to half stars. So all players with 4, they have the same grade, and like, of course, the number behind it you could, but like comparing players in between like 2 decimals, it's not that interesting because it's not only about which player is the best when you're scouting, also which player that fits best into the profile you're looking for. So like the Football Manager style grading is enough.
Yeah, I agree. It's like it's good enough because ranking the 4 stars individually, that's really not interesting. I agree. It makes total sense not to have that. But this is Anna Jösendal's spider. It's like the worst, it's probably actually this is the best spider I've ever seen on a player ever.
I think so. It's definitely. I think I think so too, and definitely in this platform. I know that. Yeah, it's insane. I don't know. Should that summarize the after work? Is that?
I actually did get one more request.
Then we do the request, of course.
And that was on Twitter. It was Mr. Tudson on Twitter. He asked me to get a spider on Ismet Luchaku.
Oh, and he's the guy who is in Varberg, but I've seen been rumored to IFK Norrköping. And I think I followed Hudson on Twitter, and I think he's a IFK Norrköping supporter. So
Oh,
This is
okay.
very interesting information for him, and I
Yeah.
hope he will be happy with it as well.
Now I need to make sure that I have. No, but let's do a new one. We have the nice presets and everything, but I think I have an Allsvenskan dashboard. I would be surprised if I hadn't. I think I have one called Allsvenska spelare. Even.
You always have an Allsvenskan dashboard lying around somewhere.
Yeah. Allsvenska spelare. So this is players in Allsvenskan. And here is 25 games played. He's the Regista avatar. I like that. Should we do a Regista dataset? No, let's just do this one that I have. So this is just my own preset, so to speak. But maybe it could be interesting to look at this one, because here we have like.
Yeah, you selected the ones you like for every player,
yeah, exactly.
right?
Exactly. But let's do this one as well as a case. That would be like, maybe we should compare him just with the position group central defensive midfielders and use the Regista preset. That could be a nice last thing to do. So
That's a good comparison, because now we show a spider that it has Regista characteristics as well, and we will reduce that when we
So I'll do Allsvenskan 2023. I'll do filter on positions, and then I'll do only the central defensive midfielders, right?
Yep.
10 games played, and the presets I want to use is the Regista presets. What do you think about that? Or should I filter on only Registas?
I would filter on. Yeah, I think
probably it's just like 10 players then. This is
I would do defense CDMs and not on Regista. If we would look, because as you said, there would be too few players. It could be, as I said, only 10, or it's better to have CDM.
I agree as well. So let's do that.
Because then we could compare him to Ceesay, for example, in Norrköping, that's also played CDM in Norrköping.
Yeah, exactly. So this was a lot of beer, a lot of alcohol.
Have you finished it, or are you on your last glass?
No, I think I have one more glass actually after this. So I'll be sitting here on my own when the after work is done, just me and my Delirium Christmas beer. I will not buy another one of these ones.
The show. Then I will not buy it for my Christmas table. After you said this, I will choose.
No.
I really like to buy like a couple of bigger bottles to the Christmas table, because they're really nice to share, like in between.
But don't buy this one. I have tasted. I tasted a few other ones that are much better.
Yeah.
No, I saw it there. Svenskan, that one. And let's go with. This is really interesting, because then you get a better idea of how he performs. Oh, that looks like Batman, right?
Yeah, it does.
I mean, it is interesting when we look at just the KPIs that we actually have here in both. So this is really an interesting study in how to present football data and the importance of doing it right.
Yeah.
So Ismet Lusaku, if we compare him to all players in Allsvenskan, mediocre looking, right? But then we also know that he plays as a Regista, the central defensive midfielder position. That's like, in general, a position that's quite hard to stand out, because if you talk defensive metrics, you will compare to central defenders, and they're often more keen or better at like standing out in these KPIs. And when we talk offensive midfielders, then they're more prone to like do line breaking passes and so on and so on. So it's really interesting when we start comparing him with other players doing the same thing as he is.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you go from like, he's mediocre dribble, right? But if we compare him with other defensive midfielders, he's quite good at it. And expected threat as well. So, yeah.
And that's really nice. And I think we can actually like knyta ihop säcken, as say in Swedish here, because the regista is very related to the playmaker, but it's like the deep lying playmaker, right? So it's the player that is a little bit further back in the field. And we started looking at Ruben Loftus-Cheek, who is a playmaker, but he's more of a number 8. And you can see here that Ismet Lushaku has similarities to Ruben Loftus-Cheek. If we would do a similar player search in Allsvenskan for Ruben Loftus-Cheek, he wouldn't maybe be the top fit, but you can see similarities here because Lushaku is also good when it comes to dribbling and generating expected threat that Loftus-Cheek is in Serie A in Milan right now.
Yeah.
But for example, when we looked at the playmaker preset, we didn't have long balls that is like more common for a regista who is lying deeper, doing the Paul Scholes passes. Or Samuel Lidsholm passes.
Yeah. We could compare him here with some of the best players. Of course, we know of Samuel Lidsholm starting to play for Djurgården probably right next season. We have.
Yeah, and he has a lot of successful long balls. Do we have Jesper Ceesay or any Norrköping player here? Yeah, Jesper Ceesay. If you compare him to Ceesay, like
Ceesay's.
He would be
not that good.
No, he could be an improvement of Ceesay. Like now they have played in different teams, but if you look at it, he has some. Like Ceesay is more of an anchor. He doesn't have the regista qualities or deep lying playmaker qualities that Lushaku has. So they could
exactly more of an anchor type of Ceesay, right?
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah.
Hugo Larsson, Allsvenskan, you have there as well. That's kind of fun.
That's good. That's if we're talking about knyta ihop säcken or like.
Yeah.
That's good. That's very good. Because we started with Hugo Larsson.
Yeah. And you can see his expected threat is way higher in Allsvenskan.
Exactly.
We don't have the number comparison, but you can see in the spider when you relate, like in a similar spider, that is, he still has a lot of passes. He has a good keep ball percentage, like just as he has in Frankfurt. The challenges are good, but you have a difference there in expected threat. Which I think Hugo Larsson could evolve like in the Bundesliga over time, but that could be the difference of level in between the leagues, that he doesn't have like he's not there yet.
No, I agree. But I mean, talk about like Alexander Isak, for instance, when he played in Allsvenskan, he was absolutely one of the best, but it wasn't like he was the absolute best player in Allsvenskan either. If you look at the numbers, he was really good, but it takes time. And
takes time.
I think that the most interesting thing is age as a very, very, of course, key factor there.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, this was very nice. A nice Christmas after work. I named it too, but it's also Lucia after work.
Exactly, it is.
I saw it now and I saw the date on the screen.
Oh my God. This beer will actually, I grade all the Christmas beers I've been drinking from 1 to 5. I have 5 so far, and I have tested one. I've tested one. I need to count 1, 2, 3, 17 different, and this is the worst one, actually.
It is the worst one. Oh wow. Oh, then it's really bad. I expected bad, but I don't know if I expected that bad.
I have 2 beers that I've given one. This one and Eriksberg julöl.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You need to remember that this one costs like 3 times an Eriksberg, so that's a factor. I am sad, but I am also very happy because I think that we had a nice talk here.
Yeah, we had a very nice talk.
was
I
really
really
fun.
enjoyed it.
Me too.
We'll do more afterwards. We'll see when the next one
Definitely.
comes.
Maybe we
it's-
should invite someone next time, or I guess it will be after the New Year's. Maybe we should start inviting people.
Yeah, I think it would be very nice to invite maybe a client that is working with the platform. They could maybe describe how they use it. Or we can invite someone else from Playmaker that could tell about their work, or Hugo Larsson, I don't know.
So here, I didn't know you could do this. You could actually.
That's really nice. That's really nice.
We need to do this next time.
Yeah, that's so good, because then so you just mark the question, or you just press on it, and then...
I just marked the question.
Nice.
This feels like some kind of bot, but still, it was a question that made sense.
Yeah. Good question.
Very good question. Because it's the best player.
Well-trained bot.
It's absolutely the best the best player I've ever seen.
Yeah. Yeah, and then we say thank you to everyone who watched, and reach out on Twitter afterwards if you have any questions, and you know where to find us, and we hope you watch the next afterwards.
Great. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.